Hey guys, I'm excited for another episode of Tribe Triathlon Podcast. I've got another exciting guest here to share a really cool story and some really cool information that's going to really enhance your triathlon experience and perhaps even challenge you to dig deeper and to reach further. So today's guest, Tom Shear. So Tom and I met earlier this summer in Jones Beach, New York. I was there doing sweat testing with my sweat lab company, and Tom came along for a sweat test. So come to find out, we were both part of Team Varlo. So we've been able to connect through that. And then as we have both spent a considerable amount of time out on the road since then, we've had the opportunity to bump in a lot of times, me more so on the sideline, Tom more so on the actual race course. So Tom is currently tied for a Guinness World Record and soon to overtake it and claim that Guinness World Record all of his own. But first, Tom, welcome. Thanks for coming. Tell us, how did you get into triathlon? What was your first triathlon?
Thank you, John. I'm excited to be on your podcast. Ironically, just traveled to a race and drove through Tallahassee, Florida on the way to the race, which is the location of my first triathlon. It's called the Red Hills Triathlon, affectionately known as Revenge of the Red Hills there. I did that in March of 2006. I was there almost 20 years to the day. I was there 20 years and 2 days after my first triathlon, Revenge of the Red Hills, a little short sprint triathlon, kind of a trail run through the woods, great little park put on by a great team. And it went on for many, many years. It recently, after 25 years, they retired from the triathlon business, and I miss it. But I would go back and do that race every few years to sort of go back to my roots, if you will, and go do that race that I love. The first,
Yeah, I would do that too. My first race, I went back a couple times, and
Where
it
was
was
that?
always really cool too. It was in Sugar Land, just south of
Yep,
Houston,
sure.
Texas. It was a race called Try Andy's Try. Andy was a staple in the Houston running community, put on several races, and this was the one triathlon he had. And it has since been taken over. It's now called Kyle's Try.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't even know how many. It's like that. It's been going for a long time. So that was
That's cool.
in 2009 for me. So I'm just a couple years behind you. You were driving to Galveston when you
Yes,
went
I
through
was
there?
driving to Galveston. Yep, driving to 70.3 Galveston. Did the half Ironman there. Nice flat course. Normally that course is windy, and the weather's crazy. And we just had
Hmm.
the most beautiful weather. It was the best
Yeah,
Galveston weather I'd ever seen. It was amazing. Had a really
yeah,
good time.
yeah.
Saw a bunch of folks. Saw you. It's the tri community is amazing, and it's always awesome to see people you've met along the way at triathlons. So that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about that on the last episode. Yeah, it was just those conditions were just unreal. But hey, good for you. I used to live 30 minutes north of there, and every time I did that race, or even every time I went down there to train, I never got conditions like that. I hosted a bunch of training camps down there, and always had to contend with all the weather. But man, you guys got hooked up.
You lost
So
count.
good for y'all. So you started triathlon in 2006 with
Yes.
that sprint in Tallahassee. What was the precursor to that? What got you into triathlon?
A lot of things in my life go back to the Boys and Girls Club. I joined the Boys and Girls Club on my 7th birthday and gained a love of sports and a love of competition. I grew up in kind of a goofy neighborhood, which we don't have to get into all that, but the folks were not friendly to me when I was a kid there. It was unlike a lot of the other kids there, but the Boys and Girls Club, man, everybody was equal there and everybody had a blast there. And I played basketball against the bigger kids and learned to play pool against the bigger kids and all this stuff. And I loved competing. And so, and we would always talk about sports while I was there. And one of the things I saw was the race, the Kona race on TV at the Boys and Girls Club. And I went, what is that? I've never seen anything like that in my life. I said, I'm going to do that one day. I was maybe 12 when I set that goal. Fast forward several years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. And at the time I owned a pizza place. And the cool thing about owning a pizza place is you get unlimited pizza and Coca-Cola. The uncool thing about that is you blow up to 350 pounds and you get massively out
Yeah.
of shape. And I know it was 350 because the meat scale in my restaurant went to 350, but I was probably more than that. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I said, man, I need to get back in shape. I was dating a woman named Dana in Atlanta, and she said, let's do the Peachtree Road Race, which is a 10K. And I hadn't worked out in years. I did the 10K with her, and that was the hardest race I've done in my entire life. I was so out of breath.
Wow.
I was dying. And after the day after the race, I couldn't move. I couldn't lift my legs. I was like, oh my God. And this was 2025, July 4th, 2020, or 2005, excuse me. July 4th,
2005. Yeah.
2005. Yep. And I said, man, I got to get back in shape. And so the combination of all those things and a little time, I said, man, January 1st, I'm getting in the pool. I'm swimming every day. And I'm going to sign up for my first triathlon. And I started riding my mountain bike to the pool and back and swimming and jogging in the golf course with my dog Yoshi, the best training partner
Yeah.
ever, and did that first sprint triathlon and worked my way all the way up to
Very
Kona.
cool. So you were doing triathlons even before you knew you were doing triathlon almost by
Yes,
accident with all that
yes,
with
yes.
your swimming. So you started swimming January 1st.
Yep.
How long did that streak last?
I made it a point to swim every day for 30 days. I did not miss a Saturday or a Sunday or anything. Swam every day for 30 days, and then started adding other stuff into the mix. And the weight started coming off, and I started feeling better, and a lot of stuff like that. So it worked really well. Whenever folks ask me how to get in triathlon, I don't know how to swim, I'm scared. I tell them go to the pool every day for 30 days. Even if you go
Yeah.
and just put a toe in the water and get back out, go every day for
Uh-huh.
30 days. Like, why would you do that? I'm like, swimming is the hardest part of the routine to work into your life.
Mm.
You can always run from your
Yeah.
front porch. But swimming, you got to find the hours of the pool. You got to have a swimsuit. You have to do something. Well, I don't have to do something with my hair, but many people have to do something with their hair and things like that. And I say, if you go every day for 30 days, you figure out how to go the days you got to pick up the kids from school, the days you got to work late, the days whatever. If you swim
Mhm.
every day for 30 days, it starts to build that routine. And I tell them by the end of that month, if you're only swimming 1,000 yards, you're well on your way to overcoming that swim hurdle. And then
Yeah.
you start adding in the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that routine of getting there for 30 days, no matter what, get it going.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few of the things, but early on in your triathlon career, I'm assuming there was more than just that one initial sprint.
Yes.
What was your ambition? What were you looking to do? What drove you?
The goal for that year was to get back in shape. I did not have a number, a weight number, or any kind of metric, and I wanted to do a half Ironman by the end of the year. And I signed up for the Miami Man, which was in November. And you run through the zoo. It's a very fun race. It was the first half I ever did, and so I set a goal of doing that. So I did a bunch of sprints, and then a bunch of Olympics, and then that was my first half. And I did really well. But the motivation was to get in shape and start working up towards a full Ironman. I figured if I could do that half Ironman by the end of the year, I could figure out a full Ironman in 2007. I'll mention one thing. I love mentioning this guy, a guy named Norman Sievers. I met him along the way, my very first year of doing triathlon. And I was like, man, this is hard. But he's 80 something now. He's been doing triathlon 70s, and he's an amazing OG triathlete to me. Like he gave me some great advice.
Yeah.
The first race I met him at in Florida, and he was like, "Good job, young fella." Basically, because back then I was young, 20 years ago, and for me that's the thing I love about triathlon the most is the folks you meet along the way, the folks who motivate me like Norm. I just think the world of that guy because of the motivation he gave me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we all have those people. I was talking with McKeely Jones a couple of years ago, and she talked about she had a coach in high school that gave her first bike. And for those that don't know, McKeely went on to win a silver medal in the Olympics, went on to win the Ironman World Championship, and had tons, and she's still winning. She's still racing long course now. She's been called, and is quite arguable, the greatest triathlete of all time. And I can think back, like, how cool is it for that coach who gave her a bike? Because you can't do triathlon without a bike. And so, yeah, that was obviously a huge catalyst for her and the support and all. So, yeah, I feel like we all kind of have that person. And I love being that person
Yeah.
as well. I feel like if we do one thing good, it's we bring other people into the sport. It's like not only do we have those people, but we get to be those people as well. And I'm sure, Tom, you've done your share of bringing folks into the sport as well, even with those swim tips and all.
Yep. I used to work at Bike Nash Bar when they had physical sports. And I used to buy and get old broken bikes and fix them up and give them to people. I've donated 5 or 6 bikes to triathletes, a bunch of bike repairs. I've donated a bunch of old equipment and bought people tri-suits and all that. It's my way of giving back to the community, helping people. I love it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that is awesome. So at the very top, I mentioned you are tied currently for the Guinness World Record, but we didn't get into it. So tell us, what is that record that you are currently tied for and soon to overtake?
Shout out to Michael Mendoza, the current Guinness World Record holder, for the most half Ironman races or 113 kilometer triathlons in 365 days. And that record is for official sanctioned races, which is a little different. There's another record for the most covering the distance the most times in a year. You could do that one at your local YMCA. You can do that one in your backyard. But this is the one where you have to go to all of the sanctioned races at a sanctioned course with sanctioned timing, travel around the world, and do those. So I just hit 24. Michael had 24. So I'm currently tied unofficially because you got to turn in the paperwork, which is another thing. And we will press on to 25, 26, 27, and up into the 30s before we hit August 1st, which is the end of my 365 days.
Very cool. So obviously we're here early in 2026. So this started back in 2025. What was your first event that kind of kicked this record off?
So the very, very first event, to rewind just a little bit, is all the way Jones Beach, 2023. Was my first attempt at starting the record, because I've tried to do this record 3 times and I'm on my 3rd attempt. That first one was 2023 in Jones Beach, and the swim got shortened because the weather was bad. So we only swam, I think it was 800 yards instead of the full. So
and
my very first one.
To say the weather was bad was a understatement. It was literally like a tropical storm that came in, and I can't believe it even happened, let alone, just had swim, bike, and run.
Yeah, it was a nasty day. It was a tough inaugural race for them. And since then, they've had another couple. And the year we met, the weather was pretty good. So when I got the split test done, and it was nice and hot, so I was nice and sweaty that day. So that was the very first one. And then and I won't recount them all, but I went to North Carolina and got disqualified because I had a GoPro on. I did not recognize. I had it on my chest. I thought if you were manipulating it and playing with it, that was the problem. And I had it strapped to my chest during the run and got disqualified. And then I went back to Miami Man, my first half Ironman, and got in a bike wreck and tore my knee up. So I had to have knee surgery. And so that was the first attempt. And subsequently went to a second attempt, met a woman, fell in love, moved, bought us a house, planned a wedding, and did 10 going into the wedding. And I just was not doing good and was not focused. And she said, once the wedding is done, you can start racing. So I signed up for a race, and she said, wait, that's our honeymoon weekend. So I canceled that race and started this Guinness World Record after our wedding. So June 15th was our wedding through June 22nd weekend. So June 29th, we started the quest for Guinness. And you see me over here clicking a little bit, because there's been so many races that I don't remember all the names, but I'll pull it up.
Yeah. Well, obviously you got a good woman that's allowing you to do this.
She's amazing.
But
she's amazing.
She clearly knew what she was getting into. At least she didn't like just spring it on her like, oh, hey, we're going to do this.
I was doing this. She was actually with me at Miami Man. She traveled down. That was her first race she went to. And I got in a bike wreck and could not drive home because my knee was done. And so she drove me all the way back from Miami, Man. So she's really been a trooper all the way from the beginning. But the thing I do fall back on sometimes is, hey, I've been doing this before I met you. I've been trying to get this Guinness World Record before I met you. So I have an ace up my sleeve if I get in too much trouble.
It's that piece that you were missing. You needed a woman there in your corner.
Piece.
So
she is very great. She'll make me rice to take with me to my races, so I have some good pre-race carbs. And then when I get home, she'll make me like tuna noodle casserole or one of my favorite meals, so that when I get home, I have a nice, good kind of recovery meal from the race. Because normally I will go the day before the race, drive to 800 miles somewhere, race, and then drive home, get home at 2 in the morning. I'll leave right after the race, take a shower with my portable shower bag in the parking lot, and then there'll be food waiting on me. And the thing that I always love, there's a sign in the front yard that's been counting down, 25 to go, 24 to go, 23 to go. And the sign outside now says we're tied. I'm very excited. And then hopefully here in a couple weeks, it'll say, you beat the record by 1, and then the sign will start counting up. And I'm very excited about that. We're bringing her to the race. The race will be Ironman, Texas, which hopefully will break the record at Ironman, Texas, if everything goes right. She's going to be there, got her VIP passes, so she has some backstage access, if you will, and some good access, and she'll be able to see me break the record. So I'm very excited she'll be there for the record break. She's been at, I think, 10, maybe 8 races. Out of all these, so she'll be there for the record breaker.
Very cool. So where did this crazy idea come from to go and pursue this record and break this record set for the most 70.3s?
So when I turned 50, I said, I'm going to do 50 races for the year I turned 50. I did a combination of 5Ks, 10Ks, triathlons, full Ironmans. I did, every kind of race you can imagine. Did a what's called a squirrel run with my now stepdaughter. She dressed as a squirrel for the race. It was very cute. She has a squirrel costume, but it's called the Squirrel 10K. So we did every kind of goofy race. And so after I did those 50, and maybe even during the 50, I don't exactly remember when I read this article, but I read an article that said the record for most half Ironman races in a year is 24. And I said, that's easy. I can do that. And that was a
Hmm.
wild underestimation on my part on how easy it would be as we're 4 years into trying to break this record. But that was the motivation was, man, I think I can do that. I think I can set an example for some Boys and Girls Club kids and motivate some folks and set another hard goal for myself. And so all of that kind of fell into it. I was like, hey, I can do this. And I can show people that it's possible. I am not your average triathlete. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. That's not the average profile of a triathlete. So I also want to show people that, hey man, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
Yeah. And do it a whole bunch of times.
Do it a whole bunch of do it over and over
So
and over and
over
over.
and over. And yeah, and that makes sense that you got to like kind of show up at the last minute and bail as soon as the race is over because you got to do it again next weekend and next weekend and next weekend. So
And I
not a whole
gotta
lot
get
of
home.
time
I
to
have to
hang
spend
around
time with my
for
family.
the after party.
Yeah, I have to spend time with the
Yeah.
family. I have to get home and see everyone. At the time I started this, I owned 2 businesses, so I had 2 businesses to run. I had an Amazon delivery business and a body shop, and the Amazon delivery business runs every day. And so I was checking routes and doing stuff from the road and then getting back. And then I have a body shop, and the body technicians and painters and those folks need help every day. They need guidance every day, and so I had to be on site. And so it was a lot. Yeah. But is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of a
I'm
lot, so Amazon delivery, body
yes.
shop, former pizza shop owner,
Yes.
uh, and now soon to be world record holding triathlete. Is there what are we missing?
I used to, I
And
put the
newlywed husband. So
a newlywed husband, father of 3 plus a stepkid plus a godson that I'm raising, helping to raise. My best friend passed away, so I'm a lot of time with his son. So there's the kids. I was a former military officer. I used to run part of Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. I ran CPAC, part of CPAC Shrimp Company. So I've done a lot of marketing and branding. I am opening up 2 new franchises called Taste Buds Kitchen. So it's a place where you can come and cook, sort of a date night cooking. And I won't say the name of the company, but I am investing in a triathlon company. So one of my big triathlon goals was to own my own race.
oh,
And I will soon, we're waiting on the lawyers to send the
okay.
paperwork. I will soon be part owner of a triathlon company. I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah. Very cool. So you put all those things together, and I'm sure it is going to prepare you for whatever comes next.
It keeps you busy.
So getting back to the record,
Yes, sir.
so now you see this and you think it's possible. I can do this. What was the motivation and kind of the drive? Why did you want to do it?
So the motivation and drive behind the record, again, it was really about setting an example for our Boys and Girls Club kids. There was always folks at the Boys and Girls Club that made us believe we could do anything. And so Tim Kowalski, Tom Smart, Ed Mahler, Ernie, who worked at summer camp, who was my first swim coach when I was 7 years old and basically threw us in a pool and said, good luck, buddy.
Hmm.
And then Bob Harding, my swim coach in high school, Ron Studsman and Jim McNally, my boxing coaches in college. I was a former boxer as well. I guess we didn't mention that. And Justin Fishman, who was a co-captain, but really the coach for me of the Michigan Business School hockey team when I played goalie. So all of those folks poured into me. And doing a record like this is about giving back to the community and giving back to folks and helping other folks. And that's a big part of the motivation. That's what keeps me going. When there are days when I'm like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I think all triathletes have experienced this at, let's just say, if you're doing an Ironman, mile 130 of an Ironman, where you go, this is stupid. I don't want to do this ever again. This hurts. This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My God,
Yeah.
McKinley Jones, I'm sure, has felt that way, and lots of other triathletes too, and that's normal. I guess that's a great thing
Hmm.
to say in your podcast is that's normal. Everyone sort of hits a wall
Hmm.
of some sort during a race, like this is dumb. And for me,
Yeah.
about 12 races in, I was like, man, everything hurts. Like everything hurts. But when you get a call from your former Navy SEAL buddy who's yelling at you, dog, let's go, let's get this record, and
Hmm.
when you talk to your kids and they're really motivated by what you're doing. And when you, like, I have a race May 1st, White Lake Pro-Am, which I'm excited about. I love that
Hmm.
race.
Mhm.
The night before, I'm the guest speaker
Yeah.
for a Boys and Girls Club organization to talk about life and goals and being a Boys and Girls Club kid. And so preparing for that speech in part is this race, all these races are me preparing for that speech, preparing to give back to Boys and Girls Club, to do a
Yeah.
fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club and all that. So it's multifaceted, but it all goes back to, I don't have the picture. I usually have it somewhere handy. It's upstairs. A picture of me on my 7th birthday, the day I joined my Boys and Girls Club. And what I always say is everything I do in life, I do for that little guy, the little kid in me, and the future little kids coming up who could use motivation and support and all that good stuff. So that's the real true motivation
That's
behind,
awesome.
yeah, 7-year-old Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very cool. Speaking of that pro-am, I do believe our Varlo teammate Garrett Mayu is going to be
Nice.
racing there. So a little representation of Team Varlo there. So that'll be
Yeah, the
cool. I know
Team
that's
Varlo
a
everywhere.
good kind of independent race.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'll look for him. That's exciting. That's a good race too, man. That thing is flat as a pancake and fast, fast, fast. The best thing about that race and why it might be my
yeah,
favorite race on the entire planet. To rewind, that first race in Tallahassee, I got Dairy Queen, a peanut butter parfait after the race. And the White Lake Pro-Am has a
nice.
Dairy Queen 10 feet from the finish line. So I don't even have to walk far to get my Dairy Queen from that race. That is the best race
Yeah,
ever. You can see Dairy Queen at the finish line.
yeah. I don't know if that's like a Southern thing, but yeah, for me growing up, it was the Dilly Bar
Yep.
and a Heath and Butterfinger Blizzard. And they turn it upside down to show how thick
Yes.
it is and all. But yeah, and then I went years without going to a Dairy Queen. And then I was staying with some friends and we went to dinner and my buddy's wife was like, I want some Dairy Queen. I want a Blizzard. And I was like, man, I haven't had a Blizzard in 20 years. And man, it kind of got me hooked again. So yeah, I'm still a fan. I will say the food isn't great, but man, can't go wrong with the ice cream at the Dairy Queen.
Can't go wrong
And
with
if
the
you're
ice
ever
cream.
like in a small town, there may not be anything else to eat, but there'll be a Dairy Queen. You
There'll
get
be
some
a Dairy
steak
Queen.
fingers, a Hunger Buster.
Absolutely.
It may be the only thing available, but yeah. So we talked about 7-year-old Tommy as the motivation to pursue this, to do this. You wanted your name in that Guinness Book of World Records, which
Yes.
I'm totally there with. I get that, and I don't know, maybe I'll find something crazy to do someday. So that gets you started. But now this is your third attempt at this, and now you're what was it, 25 races in? You've had to
Yes.
overcome a lot of hardships and some challenges along the way. Why keep going? And I'll say it's probably easy now that you've tied the record and only have one more to go. But back, like you said, like around event number 10, it kind of got hard. What kept you going 10, 12, 15, 20?
I don't quit. Once I set goals, I keep pursuing them until I achieve them. There is no quit in me. I wanted to go to Kona as an example, and it took me 13 years to get to Kona. I wanted to learn how to play hockey when I was a kid. We didn't really have money for hockey equipment. Stuff's expensive, man. So at 36, I put skates on my feet for the first time in my life when I went to business school. And a year later, I was a starting goalie and the captain of the University of Michigan Business School hockey team, and actually got to play a couple exhibition
Very cool.
games for the Solar Bears in Orlando, Florida. So the kind of a dream come true. So I don't quit. I keep going. I had big goals after this Guinness World Record too, but there's just not quit in me.
Yeah, very cool.
I think everyone has their secret weapon. Some people can run for days. Some people are incredible bicyclists as they do triathlon. Some people are a 6'8" former college swimmer that can, swim a 22-minute full Ironman, or what, some ridiculous number. And I think for me, that is my secret weapon is mental fortitude, and I don't quit. Period.
Yeah, obviously a key and valuable skill to have in this
Yes.
world of endurance sports. So through all of this, 3 attempts, you're now 25 races in, you've had to deal with cancellations and that sort of thing. What are some of the lessons you've learned from the road?
Oh man, be organized. I have an Excel spreadsheet that lists it down to a Ritz peanut butter cracker and how many crackers to take. There's one stick of gum listed on my sheet. Anytime I do a saltwater race, I like to chew a stick of gum on the bike to get the salt out of it. But I've learned a lot of things, and they're all
Hmm.
documented in my
Yeah,
spreadsheet to keep me organized. I have a very set way that I do my bike. I do everything because the travel is really the hardest part of this, even if it's just throwing everything in the truck and driving 4 hours away, or flying to Muscat, Oman whatever that number of miles away is, or California, and doing it week after week
Yeah.
after week. I am like, I've been drinking water on the podcast. I don't typically want to like drink in front of people and stuff, but like I have to stay hydrated. I worked out this morning and I'm dehydrated. My skin feels dry. I had a little bit of a headache because I was depleted because I was running around for Easter yesterday and doing stuff. And so you have to stick to routine and push yourself. My weakness is food. I don't have any vices except for food. The one thing I struggle with is eating right after races, because after a race, all you want to do is eat 7,000 calories worth of pizza and
Yeah.
Coke and all the fun foods in the world. And it's hard. And then when you're driving to a race, and you're 14 mile, like I did a 25-hour drive to Galveston, and you just want to stop and get a burger and not necessarily eat a salad or pull over and eat healthy. And so I've had to learn discipline around that, and I'm still figuring that part of it out. But I've got everything figured out, I think, but the food portion. But yeah, being organized, checklists, having a set way to do things. Like I literally have specific bags that go in specific parts of my truck to make sure that I have everything I need on that list. As an example, I always bring 2 tri suits, always, no matter what, always. Even though I only wear one during the race. I went to 70.3 Muncie and everything was going good. And I'm walking up to rack my bike, walk to my car, and was walking back to start, and my zipper broke.
Mm.
And I would not have had a tri suit if I had not had a spare in the car. And sometimes you don't want to carry all of that stuff. People don't carry extra tubes on their bike. People don't practice changing their tire. I've had more mechanicals I can count doing this. I've had so many flat tires. I've had a crank break off. I actually was doing a race in Orlando and somebody else's crank. They were doing a double Ironman. So they were doing quite a distance and their crank was coming off about 20 miles into the race. And I stopped and helped them fix their bike because they didn't have the tool and they didn't necessarily have the knowledge on how to tighten that crank up and how it worked. But knowing how to do the crash reset on your derailleur, because that's going to happen. Someone's going to bump your derailleur at somewhere along the line, whether it's in transition or something, and you'll need to know how to do that. I carry spare everything. And ironically, again, I carry spare everything, but I went to Panama and I was like, nah, I just don't feel like lugging all this stuff to Panama. So I didn't bring everything, brought most things. And of course, my trailer hanger on my bike that I travel with got stripped out, and I did not have the Teflon
Mm.
tape that I've had at every other race in order to repair it enough for the race. And so I had to find a mechanic and pay 15 bucks for some 80-cent Teflon tape that I've carried to 35 races before that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't use a checklist. I said, "Man, I'm good." And that was a mental lapse on my
Uh-huh.
part, sticking to my checklist and not sticking to the plan. And so I had to run around Panama and to get a bike repair that I could have done in 4 seconds in my room had I brought my normal roll of Teflon tape.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Something that weighs next to nothing, costs next to
Nice.
nothing space. And yeah, it's kind of that curse of knowledge. I've been there. It's like, oh, this is my, millionth triathlon. I'll just throw some stuff in the bag and show up in transition. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I forgot this major thing,
I had a
so
friend show
I've
up with
done
2
that.
left shoes to a race. No right shoe, just 2 left shoes because they just, "Oh, I'll just throw these." So yes, I think having a routine and sticking to the checklist and sticking to the routine, especially the farther along I get on this, is more and more and more
Mhm.
important because I forgot to bring
Yeah.
nutrition to one race. I brought the water bottles and I forgot to put the powder inside the bottles. So I had to use borrowed nutrition. It did not go well. Yeah, I have to stick to the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, as that does. So I 100% emphatically know the answer to this. I feel silly even asking the question. Maybe not. Maybe not. Do you ever think about quitting?
Slash every day, but never. No, I don't. I would never. I have torn the rotator cuff and the spinatus tendon and a whole bunch of stuff on my right shoulder at Ironman 70.3 Louisville. And I did 4 more races or 5 more races to the end of the year and didn't have surgery until January 4th on my shoulder. And there was a time this year I could not lift my shoulder above here. I did 2 anvils and another couple of races. Well, to rewind, my surgery was January 4th. I was not supposed to get back in the pool till April 4th, which I don't even think it's April 4th yet. And I've done a few half Ironmans already this year. I wasn't even supposed to be swimming, but got cleared for the doc. He said everything's healing fine. Take it easy. Only swim on race day. And my normal 30
Nice.
something minute swim was a 50-minute swim at Galveston. So I'm really slow, but the shoulder's coming back. But there have been times, like even in Galveston, so even the last race, I was trying to get in aero position. I couldn't get in aero position because of my shoulder. I couldn't put the weight on my shoulder. And
Hmm.
there was some wind coming back because it's Galveston, and I couldn't get aero. So I'm like
Right.
riding it uncomfortable. And I did not think about quitting, but I thought about quitting.
Hmm.
Like I was like, oh my God, I just want to
Yeah.
stop. I just want to take a break. I just want this to be over because of the pain in my shoulder. And it was the same thing when I wrecked my knee at Miami Man in 2023. I was like, man, I can't keep doing this to my body, but we're getting through it. 2 surgeries in and a whole bunch of injuries and a whole bunch of, soreness. But no, never wanted to quit, and we'll never quit, and we'll get the record no matter what. Uh,
There we go.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I've had my moments of, the little voice on your shoulder going, "Hey, dude, you could just pull over." So,
Hmm.
but I will never quit chasing this record. This record will go down. I've told myself, what if something catastrophic happens and I have to stop racing for 3 years? I'm like, I guess we got to start over at zero 3 years from now and make another attempt at this
Yeah.
thing. So this record
Yeah.
will go down. Yeah.
Yeah. You're on the red carpet, so it's just a matter of making it through that finishing chute to the finish. So you're now 25 events in, and obviously done a whole bunch in those first and second attempts at this. What would you
Okay.
say has been your favorite event that you've done in pursuit of this world record?
Well, clearly, White Lake, the Dairy Queen at the finish line, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. I've done that one before, so haven't done that one yet for the record. So the one I've done for the record, I think, is that I love is Cozumel, the
Okay.
full in Cozumel. It's just a wonderful place to go. It is a wonderful race, but it's also a definition of perseverance for me. I've done that race several times and never really felt like I had a great race. The first time I was there, I got sick and I DNF'd because of nausea. I was throwing up on the bike. I think I got
Hmm.
some bad water and it just hit me in. Another year I had a mechanical crank, fixed it, slowed me down, did not have a great finish. But the one that bugs me the most is my Garmin. Cozumel had changed the way they did their time zone.
Mm.
And so my watch was on the old time zone. I thought I had 3 hours left. I really had 2 hours left.
Mm.
Figured that out when my friend Leslie said, "Hey, what time do you have?" And I said, "Whatever time." She's like, "Man, we only got a couple hours." Like, "No, we got 3 hours." She's like, "No, we got 2 hours." And I was confused. And someone else was like, "Hurry up, dude, you got 2 hours." And I figured it out, ran, and I finished the race in 17 hours, 0 minutes, and 4 seconds. I missed the
Jeez.
cutoff by 4 seconds. And that was a crusher for me. And so I went back this year and did Cozumel again, made it, not no problems, still a hard race, but made it. My friend Ariel was there yelling at me, motivate me across the finish line, a former Army drill sergeant. Uh, and that for me was such an emotional victory. I DNF'd Arizona a week before. I was just depleted, and I just not had and Arizona has like a 16-hour and 40-minute cutoff instead of 17 hours, and I was gonna make it probably in 16:50 maybe, and I didn't have enough in me, I think, to cut the 10, 15 minutes I needed to cut off, and so I pulled myself from that race and then signed up for Cozumel at the last minute to not miss a race and knocked out Cozumel. So that was a big moral victory for me because or emotional victory for me because I had had trouble at Cozumel before.
Hmm.
I do love the race. The people are great. The venue's great. The race is great. Everything's great. And I just never had a race that I was proud of there. And so I got that one checked off. And so that one was the good victory for me. And then the other one I'll mention is the Anvil series. I've done Anvil in Wisconsin. I've done Anvil in Florida. And I absolutely love the Anvil races. They are shorter loop races. You can set up your own with your own support, your staff.
Nice.
So my mom or my mom has come to many races, but my wife got to come. My 3 oldest children came and manned the tent, and they got to see dad knocking out a triathlon, and they got to see me every mile
Yeah,
on the
that's
road
cool.
and every 10 miles on the bike. And so there's families there that are somebody's doing a double Ironman.
Yeah.
So his family is there to support him every mile of that
Yeah.
52-mile run. So
Yeah.
I love the spirit and camaraderie and how close the
Hmm.
Anvil community is. They're really just awesome people. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more with Anvil. I just
Yeah.
absolutely love their races. So I guess I gave you your question was one and I
Yeah.
gave you three, but
That's
they're
good.
three for very different reasons. It goes
Yeah.
to doing something hard, doing something with the people you love, and
Yeah.
doing something new. So yeah,
Yeah. And man, props on that Cozumel because I
thank you.
mean you last minute booked an internet not just an Ironman event, it was an international Ironman event.
Yeah,
So you had to deal with all of that, and
Oh,
a
man.
lot of logistics. I mean, that's probably one of the most difficult parts of Cozumel is just the
For
logistics of traveling internationally and then getting over there to the island if you don't fly
Yes.
in direct to the island and
Yeah.
uh, all that. But yeah,
Thank
I've
God for United Points. Thank God for a buddy who had a spare room at his Airbnb.
yeah,
I thank God for a lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah,
The
calling in those favors.
Yeah, man.
So, other side of the coin
Mhm.
of all these events, we don't have to get too specific, name names, but
Yeah.
you can if you want. Which event would you not do again?
So the schedule to break the Guinness World Record for the most 70.3 races in a year means you have to race where the races are, right? And sometimes there's only one race that weekend on the entire planet for many weekends. And there's a race series that I signed up for a bunch of their races and they canceled three of them fairly last minute. One was a week before the race. So if you've bought a plane ticket and all of that stuff and reserved an Airbnb and pick your thing, to have those races canceled last minute is very, very frustrating.
Sure.
It's even more frustrating when when there's so few races and they cancel theirs,
Hmm.
and there's one you could have gone to, but it's now sold out because you were
Right.
racing the other one. So I've been frustrated by two different companies that have canceled some races last minute on me. As far as races I didn't love that I wouldn't do again, there's been a couple of races where in California, I had a great race, had a great time, met a person named Marissa there who's been another, just a supporter of me on the races. And the wife was there and we had all that. But man, that run at Ironman California is dark, full
Uh-huh.
of rocks. I
Uh-huh.
tripped over a tree root. The mosquitoes tried to carry me away. Man, oh man, that was a tough day because of the course. So for me, I probably wouldn't do that one again. But I love Ironman races, and I've raced a bunch. I think I've done 31 Ironman races, like
Wow.
full Ironmans, and I'll keep doing them. Again, doing Ironman Texas this weekend, but I think that for me, that race course is tough on me because of the terrain on my knee and ankle injury from high school football and the this and the that and the that. That course is tough on my body, even though it's a fairly easy course. That run
Yeah.
course is on my body.
Yeah. And you're going to need to get down to that aero position for all those miles on the toll road. Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do about this shoulder in Texas, man. Lord.
So speaking of these full distance
Mhm.
events, you've actually incorporated some of these into
Yeah.
a 3 record. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that work?
So a race is a race. So you do a full Ironman. I've done several for the record, but it only counts as one race. So even though you've
Mm,
double the distance, it only counts as
yeah.
one race. So that's I don't know, is what it is. Like I left Ironman Arizona. I didn't finish it, but I did the full swim, the full bike, and half the run. So I still covered 70.3, but it also doesn't count for the distance because you have to meet the official requirements of the race, which is again one of those tricky things about the record I'm
Yeah.
doing. Because
Yeah.
that would have counted if I were doing the most 70.3 distances in a year. That would have
Hmm.
counted. Because I'm doing the most 70.3 races, it doesn't count. So that's been tough. But sometimes there's only a full Ironman that weekend, so you do the full Ironman instead of the half.
Yeah. Well, and similar Little Elm a couple weeks ago, that one didn't count because there was no
Yes.
swims. That right?
There was no swim, so we went. They canceled the swim, and I actually was signed up for Ironman Puerto Rico, which was the same weekend, but decided to do Texas. A bunch of folks were going to Texas. I said I'll switch to Texas,
Yeah.
and the race didn't count. So I could have had another one in the bag had I done Puerto Rico, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And you'd be the current Guinness World
yeah,
Record
yeah,
if that were right. And you still did that, and you did the race. So it's not like you did. It's kind of like that catch 22 of if you do the event, it only counts if it's the right
yep,
distance, and
right,
or if you do the distance but it's not the race, then it doesn't count. But I think now that obviously, like we said, you're on the red carpet, you're going to break the record here
yes,
inevitably real soon. I think this is a good thing now that you have these kind of safeguards, these rules in place that
yes,
it's gonna mean more, and it's gonna be harder for whoever comes
yeah.
next to
I want
take.
I want I want someone to beat it one day, but I'm not gonna make it easy for them. The current record's 24. Again, shout out to Michael Mendoza, Devil Dog. I want to set it into the 30s somewhere. Mathematically, I don't know how you can get much above 41, 42 in time this record because of where the races are and stuff. And
Right.
it's gonna be an official race. So I'm gonna make it pretty hard. Someone's gonna have to throw up a 40 something
Yeah.
to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even just the kind of the off season around end of the year, first of the year, that's I'm sure they're real hard to come by that time of the year.
That's why I was in Oman. That's why I was in
Yeah.
Haines City in December. That's,
Because why else would you go to Haines City?
yeah, man. Yeah.
So speaking of all that, what is next for Tom Shear?
So once I have this record in the bag, I am going to move on to like 100-mile races, like 100-mile runs. So I want to run
Mhm.
the C&O Canal. I want to run Moab. I want to do some of
Yeah.
those tough, super hard runs. That's the next plans. I'm pulling up the sheet over here, but I'll ultimately do Western States and do Badwater.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I want to figure out how to get there, and those are hard to get to, hard to get in. You got to qualify. You got to do a whole bunch of stuff. I have to get lean, and so for me, as I mentioned earlier, the hard thing for me is really nutrition and getting my body, lean enough to do all this running. I got down to 245 pounds for Kona, and I was very, very focused. I had, I had about 4 abs. Didn't get
Yeah.
all 6, but I had 4,
Nice.
and I wanna get to, having all 6 abs showing and be able to do these long runs, do the
Yeah.
C&O Canal, which is by where I live, do the Javelina Jundred, it's called, in the Western States, Badwater,
Mm-hmm.
the rat race, the wall thing, all that. So that's next, and that's for a couple of reasons. I need to get my weight down for my health. I'm fairly healthy, resting heart rate, all the cholesterol numbers, everything's good. But carrying that amount of weight for your life, just you don't see a lot of old 6'3", 300-pound dudes, right? So running, I want to focus on flexibility and health and running to really get the weight down and get the endurance even better. That's the focus is long-term health, and why not do bad water while you're chasing long-term health
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
to
All right, Tom. So lots of races. You've done 25 70.3s with some Ironman events in there. You've been doing triathlon for 20 years now. I know you have to have a whole lot of swag and a whole lot of backpacks, a whole lot of bags.
yes.
What are you doing with all those bags?
So I have a closet full of backpacks from over the years. I have some that I'm emotionally attached to. I'm never giving up my Kona backpack from when I went to
Sure.
Kona, but I would like to fill those backpacks with sporting equipment and school supplies for Boys and Girls Club kids. And I'm going to ask, once I get this record, because that's what I'm focused on. After the record, I'm going to start asking the tri community to donate those backpacks that they have because they've done 15
Yeah.
triathlons and they
Yeah.
don't know what to do with the backpacks. Fill them with some sporting equipment, fill them with some school supplies, and we'll get them donated to local Boys and Girls Clubs. Here in the United States, there's a Boys and Girls Club in St. Croix that I love that I will donate some to. Want to send backpacks around the world to support kids in their sporting endeavors and their academic endeavors.
Man, that's awesome. I don't know of anyone else that is doing that much good with those. Most of us just have kind of like you, they're sitting in a closet gathering dust.
Yeah.
I had a ton of them. Last time I moved, I think I threw out like 20 of them, but I regret that now. And yeah, let us know when that's
We'll have to get a
happening.
Tribe
And
backpack for sure. Get a Tribe
yeah,
backpack.
yeah, for sure. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll dig all those out
That,
of the closet and put
and that,
them to good use.
that campaign will kick off May 1st on xxltry.com, which is my website and the social media handle and everything, xxltry. So it'll be everywhere across social media once we get the Guinness World Record officially.
Yeah,
Once we turn it, I take this thing everywhere with me at races. This has got my Guinness paperwork in it at every race. You asked earlier, like, what's the hardest race? The hardest part of this record is absolutely this bleeping pace.
yeah. The
Because
validation, but
once
again,
you
that's good for you. Yeah,
yeah, but once you finish Ironman Cozumel and you're tired and you did a 16:56 and you're depleted and you've been yelled at by a drill sergeant, you then have to go through the finish tent, go back to transition, get your paperwork and take it to the official timer because they won't sign it till you're officially finished. So then that's 30, 40 minutes, but they're busy because it's the end of the night. And then you
hmm
have to find the race director because they got to sign it. And then you have to find somebody else to sign it. So you got to get
and
these 3
they speak
witnesses.
Spanish, or were these? Do they have English speakers there?
Some are Spanish, some are English in Cozumel. My wife is bilingual, and my Spanish is coming along. You asked
Nice.
what's next. My other next is getting better at Spanish too. I'm working
Yeah,
on that. But that is easily the hardest part of a record like this,
yeah,
getting the
yeah.
documentation right. Because I'm sure some monster out there has done 25, 30 half Ironmans in a year, didn't think anything of it, didn't have the paperwork, and went, oh man, I could have had the record. but that you don't have the record unless you do the paperwork. So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
other hard part of this thing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's the other bit of insurance and safety to preserve that
yeah,
record. That
yeah.
yeah, it's a little another barrier to entry or maybe in your case barrier to exit.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have shown him the secret case because this is my secret sauce in getting the record done.
The purple clipboard. Very cool. All right. Well, Tom, as we're wrapping up on time here, you've got some cool numbers because you've obviously done a whole lot of things here.
Yes.
Tell us about these numbers that you have accumulated and acquired.
So I've been keeping track of total miles. I've been keeping track of total everything. So I've traveled 92,860 on the third attempt for this.
That's just this attempt. That doesn't count the
That's
first
just
two.
That's just this attempt. And I'm going over here and I'll read them off. So we've swam, and I say we because this a community supported thing. I don't feel like I'm doing this alone. So I say we, not the royal we. That is the people who have been along the way with me. But we've swam 40, hiked 1,960, ran 418 miles, driven 36,664 miles, flown 56,000 miles, spent 71 nights in hotels, spent 2,000,006 Hilton points. I told you guys I was an entrepreneur and I saved my Hilton points for years and years and years to do this. Had all those Hilton points. Slept in the car 11 nights. Had 19 peanut butter parfaits, 420 peanut butter sandwiches. I've eaten 396 shot blocks so far and done 286 scoops of UCAN, amongst other things. But that's just the stuff I'm tracking. So I'm tracking it because
Yeah.
I find the numbers interesting because I'm a nerd. And again, I've raced just on the third attempt. I've raced 34 races or gone to 34 races, but only 24 count towards Guinness. So this has been a war of attrition a little bit too, and having to do the number of races just to get to the record is way more than the actual record, just because of things like Little Elm or uh, things like that. So yeah, some fun number. I think those numbers are fun. I find them
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. So, as we speak here, the Artemis is approaching the dark side of the moon and going to be flying
Oh,
around. So,
bananas.
just for reference, I looked that up. It's 239,000 miles to the moon. So, yeah, you're closing in. You're about
I'm a
10%
third of the way to the moon.
of the way. Yeah. So, yeah, keep it up, and you'll do that Artemis distance
That's
event. So,
crazy. That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tom, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, you're busy with everything you've got going on and super excited. I will see you in the woodlands in, gosh, like 12 days or something like
Yes, sir.
that. And super
I'm excited.
excited to see you break the record.
Yeah, man, it'll be Dairy Queen on me after the race. But
All right.
it was a good
All
one.
right. Dilly
It was
bars
a
all
good one in
around.
the Woodlands.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a beautiful day.